it took me a few months. It took me a little bit over a year or two to finally get a coach. And when I did, it was really helpful because the first thing they said is hire your highest level people first.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Seven Figure Journey podcast. My name is Brett Gilliland. I'll be the host for today's episode. I'm here with Marie Greene. I'll introduce her here in just a second. But for all of you seven figure business owners out there, we have the privilege on this show to interview real business owners who've had real success getting their business off the ground and into this seven figure space. And they're going to share, and they always share, real lessons that they've learned as they've done that. And then we get to talk about some of the current challenges or the next chapter of learning that they're undertaking. And our hope is that we can help as many seven figure business owners as possible with these hyper relevant issues and topics that we get to talk about with our amazing guests. So let me introduce you to Marie Greene. She is the founder of Connected Accounting, and they are helping businesses with their accounting, their bookkeeping, all the things that are related to making sure that the numbers and the back office works while the business is busy getting and serving clients. Um, and they do it in a little bit of a different way. The connected word in their name says a lot about their belief in human connection and the belief that we can leverage connectedness in our technology to really improve our life as business owners and as people working to serve clients in our businesses. So, Marie, without further ado, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Brett. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for such a glorifying, amazing introduction.
Oh yeah, no, I'm always honored every time somebody says yes to come be on a podcast. I'm like, this is an amazing business owner who's done all these cool things, and we get to learn from them. So, thank you for being here. Tell us a little bit more about connected accounting. Whatever context that I didn't hit that you want to make sure people have before we get into the interview.
Great, thanks. Well, basically, I am a huge tech nerd who also loves people. So I'm one of those weird CPA accountants that wants to help business owners find how do you make more time for yourself to focus on the things that truly matter, like sales and growing your business. So we come in and just help business owners with the back end, accounting, bookkeeping, payroll, bill pay. We'll send invoices to your clients and do all the big things that bring headaches and are dealing with numbers, and also help you implement the right technology to make it more efficient. And yeah, we're a team of 15 US wide, and we don't offshore, but we have an amazing team of people across all different time zones. And we actually love to work with people. So we're a weird accounting firm like
The
that.
weird accountants. Okay. Connected accounting, not weird accounting,
Yeah,
connected accounting. All right.
exactly.
So, Marie, you've learned a lot over the past, I think you told me you've been at this for 5 years or so now, and you've come a long way. You've learned a lot of lessons that stem from going from, the person who has to know everything and do everything to now a team of 15 people across the whole country. Like, let's talk about some of the things, the keys that you could share with other business owners as they're trying to get out of their business and not have the business rely so much on them.
So many lessons, and mainly here's what I did wrong, so hopefully you don't have to do it too. But one of the things is it took me a few months. It took me a little bit over a year or two to finally get a coach. And when I did, it was really helpful because the first thing they said is hire your highest level people first, not the bookkeepers and AP clerk of my world. Hire the person who will be your CFO down the road. Hire the person who is going to be your COO down the road. And granted, you need cash and you need money to do that. So my third or fourth hire was who is now my right hand and manages our clients, is our CFO. She handles the advisory for all of our clients. She comes with such a wide breadth of experience. But I hired her, it was like just about your end of year one. And a year later, hiring number seven was our current COO. And it was an operations specialist to start with in terms of title, but knowing she had so much potential that we could really take it to another level. And yeah, it's the fastest I could start to delegate was finding those really strong people instead of continuing to hire more junior team members that then I had to train, oversee, manage. I hired a manager sort of way, and then they hired that team and trained that team and developed processes with me. And so that was actually life changing to do it early.
I'm glad you started with that comment, Marie, because many business owners sort of succumb to this idea that at first, all I can really afford, or maybe just even in their mindset, all I can think about is just get some helpers. I need
Yeah.
people to do some stuff, and so I'll get some helpers, some people who will learn and do, learn and do, learn and do. But what you said was, man, I brought in somebody who could be a leader, and
Yes.
that started to really change the game for you to be able to get out of the day to day. So I love that you started there. What else would you share with people who are trying to pull themselves out of the business, not be so tied to making
Mhm.
everything go?
I think in that I'm lucky in that way that it's really my personality and like what I like doing. But I think building processes early, and I didn't always have time to write them out. So I would use tools like we use Loom to record video content. So I would film my screen doing the close for a client so that the next person could then type my notes. I could review them and tell them they were
Yes.
correct, but at least start saving knowledge and start creating a standardized way of doing things. Not only is it beneficial for our team, our people, for the client to have a really strong product and have quality work, but it is also key if you ever plan on selling your business because
Mhm.
you actually are selling not just the clientele and your team, you're actually selling the way you do it. And if you can, in a way, trademark your secret sauce, it's what makes the value of your business go up. And so I have no plans on selling, so that is not what I'm saying, but I am saying that processes and standardization is huge. And with that, it helped us identify what services we wanted to stop selling because
Mhm.
I'm kind of like a yes person. I want to help you and I want to do it all, but we had to narrow down and say, you know what, we are not going to file city taxes because there are so many cities in the US, we're not going to become experts at it. Or we are going to offer sales tax services if it's simple, but if it's complicated, we will tell you that we're outsourcing it or introduce you to the team we outsource it to directly. So it's kind of like finding what you're really good at, sticking to it, and then standardizing it is also a great way where now if we hire someone, they can watch content or do it themselves. We have other training materials and things, but this I think was I'm glad we started early.
Well, and let's honor the fact, Marie, that when our business starts out, we do say yes to just about anything that we could possibly do, right? It's like, I
Yeah,
need to grow sales. I need to prove to the market that I'm legitimate and we could do this. And then as we get going, we realize that that level of complexity isn't very sustainable. It's not very scalable. And so we start to narrow down. It's okay. What are we really exceptional at? Let's focus on that because we get a better client experience. We're
yeah,
likely to be more profitable with it. And oh, by the way, we enjoy doing it more, right? Like all the things line up
yeah.
when we choose at some point. But at first, we're saying yes to lots of things, and then we narrow down.
Yeah, 100%. And I think to jump on that, what really resonated with me is also a lot of people come to us and ask, "How did you pick your niche? How did you pick your clientele?" We didn't. They picked us. So
Mm.
by saying yes to everything up front, we were working with maybe 50 different types of clients between different industries, sizes, individuals, companies, non-for-profits, etc. And over time, based on who our team is and what they like to work on, what they excel at, we narrowed it down and we started saying no to construction companies. I have a friend who only does construction companies, or we started saying no to, other industries. Now we're just extremely focused on four key industries, but that's how it we picked our niches. Is it was really tweaking it over 4 years. Really, it's been a year since we really narrowed it down.
That's fascinating. I've never actually had this thought, Marie, but the idea of an internship came to mind. And, when we're studying, we go
Yeah.
and do internships to kind of find our way. Like, what do we like? And at first, when we're in this learning doing mode of saying yes to everything in our business, it's almost like we have a little business internship going
Yeah.
on where we're trying to figure out where we're going to land and what we're really going to be good at. So yeah, I love the way you describe that. Any other lessons as you think back? One that you brought up before we hit record that I'd love for you to mention is that you were recently able to take an extended period of time off, but
Yes.
that didn't happen right away. And so the first time you took some time off, that might have been a little bit more nerve wracking. But what
Yes.
did you do to prepare your team for you to go away from the business and disconnect? And like, how did you feel comfortable growing that over time? Like, what were some of the practical things you might have done?
Well, for all of the business owners out there, I think you're going to be able to relate to the fact that if you're working, if you're on Slack or your phone is near you and there's a question, they will ask you.
Yeah.
And it's only when you're truly not available that the team feels the strength and the confidence to maybe try to find the answer first. So multiple ways, but I have to say I have the luxury of saying I just had a 4 month off maternity leave where I did not check my emails, I did not do any work. The team managed everything, and it's really a testament to our team and how hardworking and dedicated they are. But it started with the second year in business. I went to Mexico for a week, and I told the team, my phone is in the drawer of my hotel room. I will not pick up my phone. So if you need to get a hold of me, you call the hotel. And only one person knew which hotel I was at.
Yeah.
So it was really a challenge to say, you got this. Like, we're not doing brain surgery. No one is going to die. So either like let the client know I'll be back next week, or I trust you. You're going to find the answer. And it worked. And so, what I also did is when I came back from that trip, I did not take back the work they figured out without me. So, one of our team member managed a client. Well, guess what? Now you have the relationship with them because I wasn't there to handle it. So you keep the client. And the next person figured out a lot of like our tech issues and had a suggestion for me in terms of like, this app is not great. Let's switch to this one. Great. Let's do it. You run with it. And slowly, by empowering other people and by forcing myself out of the business, I was able to then go to 4 months of maternity leave this year in 2024. But I will say too, it took so much prep work before I left, but I have the right team in place and I trust them. And they knew that if something really happened, they knew where to find me. And so at the end of the day, it's like trust the right people in the right place and empowering them that they are smart. They can research things and make decisions. And you know what? It works. Now I don't know what
It
to do
works.
with myself, but it works.
We'll get to that part in a minute, Marie. So, yeah, so we've done this with business owners as well, but I mean, some people are listening to this saying 4 months, no way, there's no way like
Yeah.
my business would fall apart, and that might be true as it stands today for those businesses. But what you can do is start small. Now,
Yeah.
you started with a week, but you had brought the right people in. You had done a lot of documenting, getting that knowledge captured, right? Accessible to the people who needed it. So you had done some proactive things. You likely prepared for that week that you were going to leave and be in Mexico. So you did some things
Yeah.
and then you left. Now, what we recommend to business owners who are like, I've never been away or I don't feel like I can, we just recommend that they plan 2 or 3 days away without the phone. Or maybe the first time they have the phone for an absolute emergency,
Yeah.
but then the next time it's without the phone, and then the time after that it's maybe a longer period of time, and so you're just slowly you're
Yeah.
preparing for that time away. You go away, you find out what didn't work while you were gone, and then you shore that up for the next time. You fix
Yeah.
that, you prepare, and then maybe a month or two later you take a little bit more time, and you slowly enable your team to do all of this without you. And I love that you said, Marie, without me there, it was a forcing function for them to
Yeah.
step up and go, guess we're the ones to figure this out. And they did. And they
Yeah.
did. Yeah.
Yeah, and I really empower my team to do that with their team because it's hard. Like, what as a business owner I struggled the most with was making sure that people below me had enough bandwidth so that I could delegate. It's not just can they, is do they have the capacity to?
Mhm.
And I had to help them create capacity because I hired similar people to me and they're workaholics for the most part. And so it's like, no, 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 you got to clock out at like 5 or 6 p.m. every day. Like, I don't want you to work those hours. It's a marathon. We're in it for 40 years. So, like, don't do that. So it's really about how do we create the team below them? And once they have that team, how do we teach them and how? And that's also where I am learning. It's still like, how does my new role, like, how do I lead other leaders? Because I feel like
Mm.
I was kind of a leader by nature in a way, and I've read a ton of books and I've grown and I've needed coaching and conferences and seminars and all those kinds of good and workshops. But how do I now like help others delegate down? And yeah, I force everyone on the in the company. We have like unlimited PTO, which everybody rolls their eyes at, but we have a mandatory 3 weeks off. So you
Yeah.
have to be off for 3 weeks in the year minimum.
Yeah.
And that's also the way and every 5 years you get a month sabbatical. So we were just having this conversation because the first sabbaticals are coming up, and I was like, it's good because we're going to see where things are breaking. I can't
Mm.
fix something if I don't know where it's broken.
Yeah.
And you never know what happens if somebody were to have like a stomach flu for a month. We need to be able to like jump in and understand what they do. So it's going to force everybody to be ready to step out, and it will force their team to take on more work. So when they come back, they can have more bandwidth for higher level tasks. So it's really hard for all of us, especially when you want things to be done your way or like you don't trust. But like, it's all about like the moment I started like realizing that I was not trusted as an employee back in the day, I was micromanaged and I hated it. Now I'm like, you go do it. If it doesn't work, you have to come to me and tell me something's broken and that you made a mistake. But if it's not, let people surprise you.
Yeah. Yeah. So good. Okay. The first part of this podcast has been exceptional, Marie. People could probably stop their jog or their commute and say, okay, that was good. We're done. We are going to transition though and talk about this new reality for you because you were gone for 4 months. You came back, and so what is the challenge now for you, or what's the thing you're trying to figure out?
Yeah. Well, I'm really excited that I get to have your advice. I Coming back, my hat has kind of switched from I was still kind of a lot of a doer. I would still work on some clients. So that's really removed. But that's also what I went to school for, what I've excelled at my entire life, which is being a CPA, being an accountant. So now that the hat is more business development, and brand awareness and leadership. So like I understand the brand awareness part. I love writing articles. I love blogging. So like that kind of stuff I think I got. What I think I struggle with is we have relied almost exclusively on networking and referrals for the growth of our business through today. Now, my role is going to be to develop new sales channels and be more out there in the world. So like I know how to go to a networking event, but what do I do when I get there? Like how do I like maintain the 100 relationships I might meet in a year? How do I organize that? Like I don't know. I feel a little lost as to like going from being a doer and a manager in a way to, okay, I know I have a CEO title, but like what does that mean? And like how do I really embrace what this role means? So any and all advice on being a leader, being a CEO, and expanding our sales channels would be more
What,
than welcome.
Marie? Why does this matter to you? Let's talk about that for a second, because other business owners are
Yeah.
thinking, yeah, well, what if I never want to learn that stuff? What if I just kind of stay in this comfortable, I'm an empowering leader spot, and I don't want to go figure the rest of that out. Like, what if you don't do it, then what for the business? If you
Right.
do it, then what's possible?
I just know that we can help more people. And I see it with our clients. And we get really good testimonies. Our NPS scores are like 10 out of 10. Like I just know, but it's really hard because I'm not someone who is comfortable with what the old term of sales is. To
Mm,
me, like, it's not about selling. I just want to be able to tell people, like, hey, if you need help, we can help. And this is how we do it. I feel
mm.
uncomfortable with that. But I also love it. I love going into a business. Like one of our last big clients that we onboarded, we removed over 60 hours of admin work from them per month.
Per
And
month.
per
Yeah,
month,
that's
per
crazy.
month. So it was
Yeah.
like one and a half person almost was like dedicated to two different jobs. So we were like, okay, great. Now this person can go and be on your BD team because that's what they wanted to do anyway. So it's like, I love that, but I don't like bragging, or I don't like the idea of like, "Hi, my name is blah blah blah." And
Self-promotion,
yeah,
right? All the
I
stuff.
get really uncomfortable. I think that's the accountant part of me.
Mm.
So yeah, I would love thoughts, advice on that.
Okay. Well, I can't help but take a little bit of a step back here. This is an important issue. If you grow your business to the point where you actually have put great leaders in place, you've got processes documented, it's working, and now you're freed up to look up and out, right? Like, and that's like the dream. All of us are, instead of being downward focused or inward focused, we're looking up and out as the CEO. How are we looking out into the market and innovating and doing all that kind of stuff? So, and the impact of the business is potentially huge. Maybe it's the difference
Mhm.
between settling into this, I don't know, 1 to 3 million a year kind of role with so much impact on clients, to something that's 10 million and beyond with 10x the client impact and all the people that you could help. So it does matter if you have a bigger vision for what you can do, for sure. Okay, so I want to step back to something you said earlier when you said, like, I learned to lead, but now I have to be a leader of leaders. You
Mhm.
used, and it may not have been exactly those words, but something very
Yeah,
close.
100%.
And there's a how we add value progression in a business that I think is helpful for people listening. I think you kind of get it already, Marie, but I'm just going to review it for everyone else. When we start out, when anybody starts out in any role, they're in learning and doing mode, right? Like, I'm learning something at first, then I do it, and I learn other things, learn and do. And those are valuable roles. Our businesses are full of people who are in learn and do types of roles. At some point, though, and you said earlier is even better because then you can start giving real responsibility to them. We need people who can lead. And
Mhm.
in ourselves, we need to move often from learning and doing to leading, which transition you have made very successfully, I might add. But then the next transition is to leader of leaders. So learn and do is individual contributor kind of stuff. We're producing, we're making it happen. Leading is leading these learning and doers. And then there's leader of leaders. And that's the spot, that's part of the spot that you're in right now. And so you're trying to help those leaders do the exact same thing that you did when you went from learning and doing to leading. They have to do their own version of that. So as our businesses scale, usually in this 1 to 3 million range, we're doing leadership teams starting to really form. Um, as the team grows beyond that, now we've got a very legitimate, especially by the time you get to 10 million, you got a full blown executive team, right? Like, we have an executive team, and all of those people have learned how to fully move into leadership roles. And some of them may even be leaders of leaders at that point. And so, anyway, I just wanted to make that point
Yeah.
that if we want our businesses to scale, we have to be pushing ourselves up that path of how we add value, and then we got to help the person right after us moving up as well. So I love the way you said that. I just wanted to
Yeah.
really underscore it for everybody else.
And I
Okay.
think one of the things that I would love to add is just that that's also why I want to continue to develop our company and increase like our number of clients, because my team is excited to grow, and we want opportunities for them. We want them to be able to have more and more responsibilities internally. That doesn't happen if we're staying put. Like, we have to be able to bring in revenue, to bring in clients and opportunities so that they get to go up the ladder, and or even diagonally, like we have career paths along the way. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I believe that firmly. People sometimes feel like it's an exaggeration to say grow or die, like that has
yeah,
like a very negative connotation to it. But the truth is, once you start to stagnate, if you don't really push for growth, then the water in our pool, our business starts to get pretty yucky, right? We need flow through that. We need new
Yeah.
people coming in. We need people moving up. We need people moving out sometimes. But
Yeah.
that change comes when there's growth opportunity. It's more readily available for those who want it. And those are the type of people we want to surround
Yeah.
ourselves with anyway. So I love that point. Okay, so Marie, as you start to look up and out, what are some things that you can do? Um, I would point back to everything that you've done to this point to become the leader that you currently are. And you already named some of them. Like, I've had a coach. I've done some, I read books. I go to seminars. There's work that you did to go from learning and doing to leading. And there are similar sources of help, perspective, insight, experience from people who've learned how to do this looking up and out thing as a CEO. And so all of the vision setting that you've done to get your team bought into something bigger, that's exceptional. Your job now is to start amplifying that outward and start
Mhm.
sharing that the right version of that story outward. And I think that, though, it might be endearing for some people to hear you say, I don't really want to promote myself. It makes me uncomfortable. I get that. But if your vision requires that you
Yeah.
adequately represent what you guys can do for all of those suffering businesses out there who need your help, right? So you have to start taking the focus off of what it means about you, and you need to put more of an emphasis on
Mm.
the vision that you so passionately care about. And I think you can do that by um, asking your team members to share why it matters to them to be part of connected accounting, asking your clients to share with you why it matters to them, like the difference that you're making for them. The more you get fed by their stories, both the team members and your clients, the more reinforcement, the more belief you'll have for yourself that this isn't about Marie. Marie's great, and we've loved having you on our show, but it's not about Marie. It's about something that deserves more. It's about something that deserves to be promoted. I remember one time, those of you who are listening and not viewing the video, there's a little, I don't know, a little display of shirts behind me in my background. That wall of shirts represents 10 years at a software company where we grew really fast. We had this amazing award-winning culture, and I was brought in to help with the scaling processes of that company, and the hiring and onboarding process, like all the stuff for adding people and making sure that we could stay one, right? Like more people, but we still got to take targeted, coordinated action, and we got to do it in a way that preserves our purpose and our values. And so there was a lot of intentional work that we did to scale at that company. And as I began to help and to lead there, I recognized that we were an award-winning employment
Mm.
place. Like, we were an award-winning workplace. We hadn't been recognized, but I could see that we were. And so I started to do the thing and apply for these recognitions externally. And I'm kind of like you, Marie. I'm like, "Yeah, I don't care what anybody else thinks out there. That's that's who we are. We're busy doing our thing, and we don't need other people to know."
Mhm.
But I realized, but the first year that I applied, we didn't get it. And then in my mind, in my heart, maybe is better described, I knew that I had done a disservice to the business. I knew inside of me that we were an award-winning workplace, and that I had failed to represent, I had underrepresented who we were. And in that moment of frustration, disappointment, sadness, whatever it was, I was determined that the next year the world would know that we were an award-winning workplace. And we did. We won top 25 best small workplaces in America
Wow.
2 years in a row, and it was like, yes, that is right. And it wasn't about me. It wasn't about, put the spotlight or shine
Right.
the light on Brett. It was about, we had created something that deserved to get the attention, that deserved to help more people. And by me shining the light on it appropriately, not me, but on what we were doing, what we were about, how we had built this thing, that that changed it for me, and I started to realize, this I have values around humility and not being full of ego and stuff like that. But I realized that in a way I was protecting ourselves by not putting ourselves out there. There's another version of ego that isn't healthy, and that is not putting yourself out there when you should, right? Because
Yeah.
you're protecting yourself from rejection or whatever else. So this is a psychology podcast, and I don't know the reasons behind why you do what you do, but I just wanted to share with you. I hope was a relevant story. Your vision, the number of people who need connected accounting's
Mhm.
help, is more is more important than your hesitancy to be vocal about that,
Mhm.
in my humble opinion.
Yeah.
So, is
No,
that
I like
helpful
that. I think
information?
that's helpful because I think if you start your own business in general, and I can only speak for myself, but I did it because I was excited to help others. And so if I just come back to why I started,
That's right.
and just that little like light that was like, oh, I know I can do it better for you, which is why I didn't like being an auditor where you just go in and look at historical
And
data
tell
and
everybody why it's wrong. Yeah.
yeah, I'm like, no, I want to change what's not working. I want to hands-on be in it and say, you need a better system to pay your bills because if you're still seeing the color of a paper check, there's a problem here.
Yeah.
Or you shouldn't be getting like paper mail. This is how we're going to help you streamline it. That kind
Yeah.
of thing. So yeah, that
Yeah, I
yeah,
know you're full. I know this passion is inside of you. I've already sensed
yeah,
that enough in the brief time together. All you have to do is keep going back to the why. It's not
yeah,
about you, it's about the why. And that
yeah.
purpose fuels all of your activity going out there. So when you are in front of people at a networking event, or you have an opportunity to speak on a stage, or whatever, it's not about Marie Green. It's about the purpose that we have that's burning
Mhm.
brightly at Connected Accounting, and why we're different, and why we're out to help as many businesses as we can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyway, I hope that's a little bit helpful in the short
Yes.
time that we have together. It was really fun to talk with you, Marie.
Same. I love it. I love your energy, and it's so nice to know that, like, there are so many people out there that we can be like, "Me too, I struggle with that," or "Me too." So I love your podcast, and I really appreciate how you help others, and thanks for the advice today.
You're welcome. Marie, if people want to learn more about Connected Accounting or connect with you on social, how would they do that?
Yes, you can, find us at connectedaccounting.co. That's CO, no M at the end. And you feel free to ever email me if you have questions, Marie at connectedaccounting.co, or find us on social at Connected Accounting on Instagram and other platforms.
All right, Marie, that was fantastic. Thanks again. For all of you out there listening, please like, share, review, comment, do as many things as possible to get this episode in front of all the seven-figure business owners out there. We, every episode, get to be with great business owners like Marie, who are sharing real experiences in their own growth story and real challenges in their continued growth story. And we want to help as many of you as possible. Thanks for listening to this episode, and we'll see you next time on another episode of the Seven Figure Journey podcast.